Welcome along, folks, for the finale of Season 2, Tier 3 for RPL. Last week in Brazil, we were tricked in thinking the championship could potentially be clinched, but the game had other plans for us, with ERT being kicked out of Brazil. The game glitched, and Drift King and championship leader ERT were both denied access to finish the Grand Prix. We were at least treated with the fact that we could finish tonight with the new champion in Tier 3, and also, last week, we were treated with a first-time winner, with Kick Sauber getting their first podium as well. I'm your commentator for tonight, Ryan Searles, and happy Halloween, everybody. But, you know, although all the younger kids will be looking for candy, we're looking to settle this championship between two of the drivers from the same country, battling it out for which one holds the title for the first time in RPL. It's either Turbo Cubsack or it's ERT Uri. ERT Uri started his career in RPL in the very first ever Tier 3 race. He was called one of the cheating V-Carbs by Matthew Wrightson. And he really showed his pace with RPL Jordan as his teammate in his first ever race. He had lots of pace, but he did not get the result that day. What he did get is his name recognized here in RPL. And we started to realize this guy's something special. Putting himself in the front row at Silverstone during Turbo's first start, in fact, that same season. Then following it up with some continuous good results, good pace, but just inconsistency. Well, that inconsistency has changed this season. He's clearly been a better driver. He's clearly been a reshaped driver and figured things out himself. 4 wins in the season for Uri, 5 poles, 6 all-time, the most all-time, and 8 podiums, just one behind the all-time man, George Williams. For Turbo, he made his debut in Silverstone last season in the Williams. Got a podium in the V-Carb at Mexico. He really showed his stride, and that's how he got the McLaren seat. 5 podiums in the season, 3 poles in the season. It's really been the Turbo and Uri show. Turbo 2 wins, though. He's really had the less of the stats compared to Uri, but he's trying to do what an underdog would do and pull off an upset. We're going to find out tonight as we go into short qualifying in Japan which one of those Suzuki drivers get the title for the first time. And speaking of that, here are your championship standings. Uri is 12.5 points ahead of second place man Turbo. No one behind that is eligible, and Vade sits third, and you have a massive, massive battle from 4th to 9th, 17 points separating them. The Constructors' Championship we thought did not get wrapped up last week, but it did. Red Bull are the champions for the second time in Tier 3. And congrats to them on that. We've held some Japan races here in RPL so far this game cycle. We had one recently in Tier 2. Tier 1 had one a few months ago. The one Tier 1 we had a late race safety car. Tier 2, we had quite the scrap at the end for the win between 3 or 4 drivers. So, I'm probably expecting something similar tonight as well, with that being said. Now, time to go over your penalties, headlines, and changes ahead of tonight's event. Your championship leader, ERT Uri, will be serving a qualifying ban due to penalty points. He's not the only one who got penalized after last week's chaotic, thrilling, and wild, wacky Brazil race. Garrison got disqualified from the event and got banned from the league. We'll talk about his status for a seat next season because he actually got banned from the league. With that being said, meaning no Red Bull seat for him anymore. After his first race, he proved that he's worthy of Red Bull seat, but it did not back up in Brazil. He caused a lot of shady stuff. Mythic has a race ban for this event, which is why Leon Miner's in the McLaren. Is this legal? No. Does the coordinator and admin care? No. They said it's not legal, but we move. You know, that's how they worded it. So with that being said, you know, Mythic's not the only one to be replaced by somebody due to race bans tonight. Goatley has a race ban as well. Goatley got a pole last week and did really well, in fact. But his driving has set him back, as we know already. And it's been talked about before, but he had a good period. At least his race ban does not go into next season, which is the good part. Means Zora is reserving in the V-Carb tonight. Valkyrie has a qualifying ban. She got that qualifying ban after the race ban due to going out on track and retiring out there. Remember, if you have a qualifying ban, you can only do an outlap. So that goes for Uri and her serving those tonight. Showcase race drivers. Our showcase race is next week for RPL Tier 3. And we have one new driver added. We had 5 previously. Neski is the driver we had added to that showcase event. The 5 previous drivers that were in the showcase event were the following: Ardell, Invade, Goatley, Turbo, and Uri. Now add Neski into that. All these drivers who are in this event have had a Tier 3 podium. So, yeah. Very skilled drivers up there. Alright, here are your other headlines, penalties, and changes for next season's rides now as we start our qualifying laps. We're going to ride on board with Ardell, who's really helping to look out, looking to help out his championship contending teammate Uri. Red Bull have already won the Constructors, but Ardell wants to really do a favor for him. And also do a favor for himself. He said he's studying the RPL rulebook. Not sure why. He'll probably show us why. He's helped out contenders before in the championship, JTK, and even Uri and Zandvoort. JTK in Tier 2 last season, so just be aware of Ardell. You know, he will defend like crazy, and I will not be surprised to see it again. Hopefully it's without any damage, because that's how Zandvoort got a little messed up. He was doing well until the damage. Next season, Noah Boy in the V-Carb, full-time. He got his first points in RPL last week and only his second start. Fusion goes to McLaren next season. He's in Haas tonight, reserving. JNR, who made his debut last week, he is going to RB alongside Noah Boy. And Devin is going to be going to the Red Bull team full-time. Garrison's Red Bull contract got terminated, so that's why that's the case there. Ardell, it's his last race in Tier 3. Uri, it's his last race in Tier 3. Turbo, the same there. And Goatley had his last race in Tier 3 last week. All those guys will be moving up to Tier 2. Valkyrie is on a lap, and this is troubling because she has a qualifying ban. She needs to not set this lap, though. If she does set the lap, she's going to have to disqualify herself to cancel out the lap that she did. And she's going to set a lap, so for Valkyrie's case, unless she disqualifies herself, she will be getting disqualified from the event itself, if that's the case. She continues on. RPL Titan Iron is on a one-off start because of daylight savings time. This race is at 4 p.m. Eastern for the Americans, meaning it's a 4-hour difference until Sunday for everybody with, you know, the clock changes. 4 or 5 hours, you know, usually that's what it is. Or, well, usually it's 5 to 6 hours. Now it's 4 or 5 hours, excuse me. Leon Miner, as we said, on loan to McLaren. We'll figure out if anyone has anything to say about that in the stewards report. They say it's not legal, but Egg's allowing it, so we'll go with whatever the tier coordinator said. I think Zora almost came together with a teammate there. He's reserving for RB. Fusion's in the Haas. I don't even know how to pronounce this, so I'm going to butcher this so bad. Tajoke is serving his debut tonight. Wrecked by Storm. It's Z in the Sauber. Tim Bet in the Mercedes instead of the Aston. Optical in the Aston tonight. Circo in the Aston. And Invade is racing in his final full-time race for right now. I know everyone says retire, or not going to go with that word because you know what? Everyone makes up their mind and changes it. But for Invade, he's taking a little break, so it's his last full-time race for now in RPL. He'll mainly serve as the team principal and stick to that role for quite a while. He's sick of F124, and you know what? There's a lot of people who are, so can you really blame him? We're going to go on board with the The driver making his first Tier 3 start of the season, RPL Titan Iron. His last start came in Texas last season. It's good to see him back. Part of the Alpine Academy! He's going to go spinning. He saves it, though. It's very easy to save it on this game, it looks like. And Turbo, championship contender, goes second fastest, right behind RPL Ardell, who said he's put in over 100 laps of practice. Yeah, he really means business tonight. He wants that first career win because he knows when he goes to Tier 2 next season to race for Williams, that's very unlikely for Ardell. Alright, good to see you in chat, everybody. We have Dave, we have Goatly, we have F1 Schwartz and Vade. Yeah, Garrison did get banned. Who do I think is the best lineup for next season? Not totally sure. If we get a season preview video, which I'm not going to be the one doing, then it'll probably be Titan. If anybody does it, we'll have our opinions there from the commentary team. And yes, Goatly does have a race ban due to penalty points. Let's see. Okay, so you pronounce it like Chukechuk. Oh, wow, that's not gonna be well. That's Dutch. Okay, great. This is not gonna be fun. Maybe I should call up JTK and ask him how to pronounce that since he's the Dutchman of RPL. Really, the second fastest since we've got Korsman racing full-time again. Korsman switched full-time seats with Minico as well during the week. And Leon Miner still stays slowest right now. Usually in the Williams, Leon, but not tonight. Those are the only two cars not here that are missing. F1 Short says he's Haas next season. Still, I want to look at all the lineups and decide for myself. I don't really know who is the best lineup. Gagi knows the lineups probably better than anybody, honestly, if I'm being completely honest with you. He'll probably tell you who he thinks. Any driver from Israel. Well, yeah. Alex Norris is not on a lap, but he's going to get ready to start one, and we'll ride on board with Ardell, his academy teammate, in the meantime. You know, I must say, out of all the championship contenders throughout all tiers, I've got to say, Ardell is probably the best teammate you can have. And I'm going to tell you why. He's not the fastest driver. He's not the most consistent driver. He probably picks up way too many track limit penalties. But you know what he did for JTK in that Qatar race against John, who he's known for 5 years, if not more? He defended against John and backed him up by 2 seconds. Therefore, there could be no undercut possible. He didn't put any damage on his car. He didn't do anything egregious. He just slowed him down and stayed on worn tires. The only thing for Ardell's case that I worry about is a situation like Zandvoort, where he was defending from Turbo and making sure he doesn't get anywhere close to Uri, who both did 2 stops. Uri came back to win that race. Turbo finished outside the top 3 or 4 or 5 spots. Ardell, you know, big thank you card there. I'm sure Uri is going to have to give him for. I really think that in Ardell's case here, though, as long as you don't give him damage here for Turbo's case, Uri's got the best teammate possible here for the situation. I really do. I really do think that. Perez 2021 clause, maybe. Ardell does extend the time at the top of our table just by 18 thousandths. And last week we had our first non-Turbo Uri poll. Can we see the same thing happen 2 weeks in a row? Ardell could be doing it at the top of our table. Fusion can get pulled here, mark my words. I don't know about that. 9th place here on our boards. Yeah. If you can get to the top 5 for Haas, it'd be a great story. Turbo pulling out of the way, letting some cars go. You saw some other drivers doing the same. Traffic around the circuit can get very busy. Only 90 seconds really for a lap time. We have the Alpine making his debut on a lap. Titan Iron going to start one soon in a bit as well. Getting out of the way for the Red Bull. Remember, he's not on a lap. That's Ardell. Let's see. Let's go with somebody who is on a lap. Invade. Into the wall. It's quite unusual from Invade. And just keep in mind as well, folks, there's other drivers who will be in their last race for certain teams as well who will be staying in this tier for next season. Alex Norris will be going over to the Ferrari team. His last race for the V-Carb. Then going over to the other Italian team. How fitting. And I have been informed by Uri, you know, if we do get him as the champion for tonight, his Circo does slightly improve there. If we do get him as the champion tonight, in fact, our 2 Tier 3 champions will both be named George in their respective languages. How fitting is that? We just had an improvement. I think that was maybe Optical. Nice little drift from Optical there. Wow. Was it Itzy? Was it Optical? One of those two improved nonetheless, though. So, a good showing right there. The Alpine on his debut did invalidate, so that's unfortunate. Turbo has started a lap. We'll go on board with our championship contender since he gets to qualify. His championship rival does not. Vade says he was 5/10 up. Well, Invade, if you're 5/10 up, that means pole was possible, so. Invade, of course, will get to race the showcase race and hopefully go out with a bang, but he wants to go out with a bang with Tier 3. So. Yeah, Valkyrie is saying she forgot about her qualifying ban, so we'll see what they do with that. And, yeah. Meanwhile, Turbo is going to go through. There's 130R on the left, and this area right here is 90R? What is it? I want to say I've seen the name for it before, and I don't remember it off the top of my head. There's 130R coming up here, and then that set of corners. What is that? It's somewhere here on my screen. I'm trying to find it. Nonetheless, here comes Turbo in a Casio triangle for one last time. 16, 17, and 18. Usually there was a big bump there, but that's not the case anymore. Across the line, he'll go to provisional pole. Turbo will. RPL Titan Iron hasn't validated some laps, so he will have to try again. Wrecked by Storm just came across the line to start his lap as well. We have a spin. That is Timbed. Nice little drift there. He keeps it going, but that'll really undo what has been burdened by whatever. Alex Norris is up on the time. And we're going to find out if Alex Norris can go faster. 130R is called Spoon. It's clearly 129R since it's before 130R. Well, no, there was a map that showed me what it was. Oh, I found it. Is that 20R? No, it can't be. Hold on. No, it's 200R. You have 200R after the hairpin, and then you have 130R. That's what I was thinking of. I don't know why I thought it was 90R. Anyway, Alex Norris, our most recent first-time winner, is going to provisional pole. How about that for VCarb trying to go back-to-back on poles? What a great candidate for Ferrari next season as well. Wrecked by Storm just got beat on the timing charts by Leon Minor. He's going to try and go faster than Leon Minor. Wrecked by Storm will. We're going to find out if he can use all the little mojo of the battery and get ahead. He will. He will not get ahead of Zora, though. Polish Hammer. One of our most unluckiest drivers this season. He started the season off in Australia with a podium finish, but ever since then, it's been an absolute nightmare. You ever get one of those Halloween stories where you have someone chasing after you, maybe a killer clown or something like that? That's basically what it's been from round 2 onwards for Polish Hammer. This guy has really not had the best of times. He is on a lap. He's down, though. He's going to probably go again. Alex Norris, though, is at the top of our table, and that's a great lap. Titan Iron Wolf got in a lap. He is 16th fastest behind teammate Leon Minor. So it looks like both of them will be settling for the back of the grid. Do we have anybody on a lap right now? We've got Leon Minor starting one. He's going to have a little wiggle wobble moment out of the final corner while applying DRS. He's going to use all this battery in the run to turn 1. And you're going to have to be careful of this racing line here because it does mess you up. It's inaccurate here going to turn 1 and turn 2. You can already see Leon is going with a wider line here in the McLaren. Now you get to the S's. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 here. You're really in an awkward spot with this area, but it's a lot more easier to navigate than prior games. You just can't get yourself onto those curbs because they are like death row curbs. Now, Leon Minor is coming to the end of the sector. 77,000 up on the time. Now, you go to the double right there. That is the Degners. Hairpin time for Leon. 8, 9, 10, and here we go to... Now I know the corner name that I see it in front of my eyes. 200R here before 130R. I'm amazed that's 200 degrees there. Now he'll go to spoon curve, and this is where we get going to finish the lap. We got yellow flags in front of him. He might get a slipstream from that Alpine, whoever it is. That is Titan Iron Wolf, just getting out of the way of Leon. Leon will try to pick up the slipstream, but it'll be to no avail. Leon Miner by the sector split is 2/10 up, so really, Leon's going to have to cause a ruckage here if he's going to help out Uri. Or help out Turbo for the sake of Uri, excuse me. But Casio Triangle we go for one final time. Then the last curve. Across the line, Leon comes. He'll be ahead of Zora by a good margin, too. Only just off Valkyrie. Not bad. It's Z and Fusion are both on laps. And we have a minute remaining, meaning it is crunch time, folks, for pole position. Give us in the Twitch chat your predictions for pole. Will it be a trick with a V-Carb on the pole, or will it be treated with a Red Bull or McLaren on pole? Red Bull for the sake of the teammate. Uri. Turbo for the sake of himself, for the championship's sake. Turbo starts the final flying lap. We're going to go on board at least during the first sector with the championship contender. Remember, he's 12.5 points back. The championship situation for him tonight is going to have to be him outscoring Uri. But it's going to have to be by quite a margin. You know, he's going to need to be in first with or without fastest lap, with Uri being P4 or lower. And you get to about fourth with fastest lap, Uri is going to need to be out of the points. So that's what it looks like. Turbo's up, though, in the time by a hefty margin. And this could set himself on a pole position for yet another time this season. And it would actually set himself up quite well for the race here with the championship scenarios. Remember, Uri started at the back of the grid last week. He does not need another terrible scenario this week. Ardell's up by a 10th. Alex Norris missed the line. He's got the checker flag waving in front of him. He's the first car to cross the line. He did not make it. He will have to wait quite a ways and make sure no one beats him on these laps. We got a Ferrari coming quick. Invade has invalidated. Polish Hammers in the first sector. Neski is up by only just under a 10th. Ardell is on a lap. Turbo is up by 2/10 right now. Invade crosses. He's invalidated. Circle crosses. It's Z crosses. No improvements. Here comes Turbo, the championship contender. He'll go to provisional pole. 2/10 of a deficit, that is, with him and Alex Norris. Neski remains fourth. It's now going to be up to Ardell, who's going fastest in the second sector, but he's going to need more time than this. It's going to have to come in the Casio Triangle. Optical improves. Will anybody else have anything to say? Ardell invalidates in the Casio Triangle. That's going to be it for him. Polish Hammer is up by 2/10. He might be the only one to say something about it. Timbed is 10th. Will he remain 10th, though? Across the line he comes. It's an improvement to 9th. Polish Hammer is coming through the sector split, and he will be up by 3/10. Polish Hammer. This is pretty good from him in terms of his qualifying efforts. He needs to have a good qualifying effort here before he gets to go to a bigger chance of winning the championship next season and winning races in Tier 3, but he is invalidated. That will be to no avail. It is championship contender, second place man in the championship, Turbo, on pole for the 4th time this season. And it comes at a track which he needs to do well at tonight. A chance to win the championship comes at the best time possible. 5 different teams inside the top 5. Let's run you down this grid. Turbo's on pole. Alex Norris is in second. Good qualifying effort there. It's his best qualifying effort, actually. Ardell is third. Looks like those 100+ laps of practice did not do anything for qualifying. Hopefully it does something for the race. Then you got Neski and Invade running out the top 5. Then Circo, Optical, Polish, Timbed, and Fusion. Outside this top 10, Leon Miner for the team that sits second in the championship. Uri had the qualifying ban. He's going to have to come from the back of the grid for the 2nd week in a row. Lennon does say that championship battle is on. You got the championship leader starting last. You got his championship rival starting first place. We are going to be getting lights out here soon, but give us your final predictions here for the rest of the race. Remember, it's for the race, excuse me. A lot of guys and girls are having their final races for teams. For some, it's their final race in the tier. You gotta have a good showing with that being the case. It's a completely dry race. A lot of the drivers are expecting one stop. Although the constructors got clinched, it doesn't mean the drivers' championship is clinched yet. We have a battle there, as we've been talking about all day long. 12.5 points separate Turbo and Uri. We're going to have to find out who does what for the sake of the title tonight. We're clicking on now for what's going to be lights out in just 20 seconds. We see a split decision here with mediums and hards throughout our whole entire field. It's our 20th race in the tier. But could it be our best one? I say that because we have our championship for the driver's standings on the line. 5 seconds until lights out for one last time in Season 2, Tier 3. A historic battle is coming to an end. Who's going to come out on top between Turbo and Uri? The 5 red lights come on for one last time this season in Japan. It's time to run the action. Look at the wheel spin for the McLaren. The Aston gets out of shape as well. He's in the middle of the track right there. But now Turbo gets followed by the RB into turn 1. That RB cuts off Ardell. Neski and Invader going side by side. Crash at the back. That's Valkyrie. Aston's going spinning in the back as well. That's Serco. He's facing the wrong way. Invade's going up very wide. That's going to put him vulnerable to Neski and Polish Hammer. But Turbo leads the race by 4/10. He needs to stay out there. Uri has gone up to a great start. Up 4 places. Now make it 5. He's kind of having trouble, though, getting through on the Sabra and the Alpine. It looks like Titan got out of shape. Z's got to at least make sure he can stay with Leon if he wants to have a chance for points. We go to the hairpin for the first time. Uri's already looking to make the move. Up in front of that, everyone stays single file. Uri is going for the move down the inside. Remember, in Monza, when he was back here after a mistake, he ended up crashing into a contender, forcing them off track, got himself a 5-second. Last week in Brazil, when he was at the back, he picked up damage in the opening lap. It looks like Uri has learned his lesson with patience and understood that it's going to be the long game today. The Sauber goes out wide. He's going to go spinning on the curb. Uri takes advantage. That's now a 6th place gain for our championship leader. It's not the points yet, but it's a good step in the right direction. Ardell, his teammate, going out very wide there, getting all out of shape. It looks like Optical is threatening the back of the Ferrari Polish Hammer. It looks like his teammate is getting tagged from behind. He has damage already. That's Timbed, who finished 4th last week with his best result, almost getting spun around. Now, Ardell takes 2nd place, and this is the best spot for Red Bull now to challenge Turbo, the championship leader, as things stand right now. Further back, Zora is racing Titan here. Canada versus America. Our biggest winner was Uri, up 6 places, but our biggest loser here was Serco, who spun around again. Valkyrie, it's Z, Serco, they're all guys and girls who spun around on the opening lap there, hitting trouble. And I've just been made aware that our championship contender apparently does have damage. He does, on the left end plate. Looks like, just like Brazil, it might be a long night once again for Uri. This time, it's not the right end plate or both end plates, it's just the one. So maybe this won't affect him too badly, but the problem for him is he started on the hard compound tire. It's gonna be a nightmare. Titan Iron, speaking of nightmares, is off. VSC, deployed. I'm interested with the VSC being deployed. Will anybody try and go to the end of this race on a hard compound tire? I doubt anybody at the front of the field does, but if you're further back, you definitely want to try and go bold here. No one's doing so. But remember, it's only the virtual safety car here deployed right now. I'm sure there's some people who picked up damage who will come fix it. Uri really can't come fix it because he's on the hard compound tire. You have to go for a 2-stop. And, well, he's lucky it worked out in Zandvoort, but it definitely won't tonight. And we're going to have a spin at the pit lane. That is Serco, just not getting it mowed down enough. Just remember, in a race like Spa, that was Uri's only time that he had a penalty in-game this season. You got to make sure you don't have a drive-through. Leon Miner does, though. Leon Miner has been hit with a drive-through. And look at this. The McLaren teammate is right in front of Uri. Uri already has damage, but it could go from bad to worse if he's not careful and patient enough with passing Leon Miner. Top 6 remain on a DRS train. Further back, there's a DRS train for 7th, but Leon has lost touch with that due to losing out with the drive-thru. Now you gotta wonder, how does Uri make amends of Leon Minor? 2.9 seconds behind the next car. And he'll have to serve the drive-thru within 3 laps. But what does Leon do within those 3 laps? That becomes the question. Leon Minor getting his best opportunity since this race in Tier 2. Back at the start of F23. Now we go to 130R. Uri's boosting just a little bit. He knows he's got the car behind him. Challenging. Close enough. Here we have moves. Fusion, Timbed, and the Alpine. We have Uri still stuck behind Leon. Leon just parking the bus here. And Leon stays out. For our lead, though, Ardell takes it. Fusion gets Optical. Optical gets passed not just by 1, but by 2. Uriah's got by Leon in turn 1, and now Valkyrie does a little bash and bang with Leon as we get to turn 2, and Valkyrie's ahead. Remember, she's going to be likely facing a disqualification for getting her qualifying ban, but nonetheless, Turbo has 18 points to his name right now. Uriah has nothing. Right now, if this race ended, Turbo is your champion. But if he loses 2 or more places, that could change in a heartbeat. We have a move made further behind. Leon Minor has been passed by Zora. Zora went off the road. Leon Minor will be there back to pounce, but Leon Minor does have that drive-thru. Leon's going to go around the outside. They've touched into the hairpin, and they are connected with one another. They still can't get off one another. Leon will pounce around the outside, but Optical, who runs inside the top 10, has lagged out. Optical, trouble for him. That will be a big later toward this race. Turbo's being passed not just by 1, but by 2 to 130R. Side by side, he's off the road. Invade almost went off the road into the wall. Turbo, currently, with that being said, by being overtaken, is losing the championship by only half a point. Here comes Ardell, being challenged by Alex Norris, 3 abreast down the main straight. Now, we're going to take turns by doing this. Ardell's going to be ghosted inside of Invade, and he's going to lose out because of it. Ardell may have just been disconnected from the session from the lead, and he has. That's our 2nd disconnect from the top 10, but more crucially, it's from the lead. Invade just went from 4th to 1st there. That's how quick things can change. Ardell is losing tons of time, tons of places. And this is just a nightmare for the man who's practiced so much for this weekend. It just does not look like it's going to pay off again. But he needs an invite back to the session almost immediately. We're going to try to see if we can handle that. Simply because Optical's already been handled, but Ardell has not been. And Ardell is about to lose out to Polish Hammer as well. Uri had been overtaken by Valkyrie, so it does look like the damage on the left end plate is affecting him. But with Ardell lagging out, Turbo is back up to 3rd. That's all he needs to do to win the championship. Polish Hammer goes up a place, and he would love to be a part of this DRS train for the lead. Alex Norris is right behind his team principal for next season. RSF1 Invade, who's looking to close out this Tier 3 season with a win. This season has been full of inconsistencies. A lot of track limit penalties, which he did great at avoiding at the end of last season, especially in his win at China. He won 2 races last season as well. He's looking to finally win one this season, but he's going to have to hold off the RB, who's challenging the race leader. But he's not close enough by turn 2. We have a move maybe going on further back. It's Uri pulling out from behind the Haas and going ahead. And Ardell is out of the race. Ardell joined back the session and has been hit with a retirement. That is super big for Red Bull, though, because that means no second driver to protect our Uri right now. That is very damaging toward his race. As he joins back the session, he is going to be bawling his eyes out because you just know that is not what Ardell wanted to see. And that's not what Red Bull wanted to see either. Sitting down now in 10th and 1 out of the race. You got to feel for Ardell. It seems like a season where he's had a chance to win a few races, but it's stuff like this to where this is what makes it go wrong. Optical's joined back the session. Hopefully when he takes control, he can at least end up not being retired by the game, but Turbo sits in 3rd. Uri sits in 9th, and Uri is only winning the championship right now by what I believe is half a point. Valkyrie goes through as well. It looks like Invade has pulled out a little bit of a gap, but the RB will use ERS deployment to try and claw his way through and get back to the lead. He'll regain the lead on lap 7 out of 27. Further behind, Fusion, Timbed all sit in a train here for 6th place. Uri has Valkyrie there for company, but you just know with Valkyrie being right there, you know, she'd want to get more. But it's just what will the stewards say now at this rate with what she's done from qualifying. If you were not with us in qualifying, she ended up doing the session even though she wasn't meant to. So we'll see what they have to say. But just remember, last week in Brazil, it was our least amount of finishers in an RPL Tier 3 race. We had only 10 drivers finish. 11 classified. Mythic got put in the wall down the main straight on the final lap of the race, so he did get classified, but he did not finish the Grand Prix. And it looks like Titan, whatever happened with Zora earlier on when, you know, them two had something happen on the lap 1 or 2, whatever caused Titan to have yellow flags. That's why he's upset at him currently. Invade just trailing the back of the RB, bumping him into 130R because he knows the McLaren is closing in. He wants to get by the RB for the race lead. And really, Alex Norris in the RB will be Uri's best friend at the front of our field just because Ardell is not in this race any longer. Ardell saying he can't catch a break. Well, you got Alex Norris, your academy teammate who can help out with Turbo, but right now, Invade retakes the race lead on lap 8. Uri down the main straight is still hanging out at 9th, but he does have damage. Once he gets that repaired, he may have a chance to get 6th, 7th, or 8th, but that may be all he needs if Turbo finishes 3rd. Titan Iron, penalty. Turbo just trailing the RB just marginally and just having to back off before the corner because it gets seriously tight. Yeah, there was only 10 finishers in the Grand Prix last week. Garrison was disqualified, and Mythic was put out right at the line there at the last moment there. Neski is in this train as well, and he's got to get a lot of credit here. Great showing last week in his first Tier 2 start. Put in the showcase race as a wild card driver. Got his first podium in Zandvoort. That was in a Mercedes. This is tonight's in an Aston. You got to really wonder if he really has decided to lock in or not. Yeah, he's doing a great job in the Aston. And he deserves all the credit in the world. He could be a spoiler for the event tonight. And speaking of spoilers, the one who was in the points no longer is. Optical out of the race. He tried to join back the session, and the same thing just as Ardell, it retired his car. That is super unfortunate for Optical. Neski's case in the Aston. You just gotta wonder, could it be tonight? Invade gets overtaken for the lead of the race by his driver for next season. How fitting is that? Polish Hammer is our first one to come in, and Blink, he goes onto the hard tires. But it's a 4-car train at the front of our field for their lead. And it might stay this way for a while unless something happens. Man, I really feel for Ardell just because he put in a lot of practice for this race. Really studied everything that could help him certify Uri as a champion. Being the team player he is, and he doesn't even get a chance to do that. He doesn't even get to halfway. He's out of this race. And it's good to see the commitment from Ardell. But it's not good to see the way things have gone for him in recent races. Even Brazil he had a good chance to win at, but he did not have that go his way, as we were saying. We're going to go to 130R with some moves maybe being made. Here we go. Invade is on the inside. He's boxed in here. Got the McLaren on the outside there waiting as well. Here goes Invade going through 130R. That's a ballsy overtake to do, but the risk has paid off. The RB has to slot in behind, and that just backs up Turbo a little bit. It does mean Alex Norris, who backed off there, does have the help of the rear wing. DRS applied, ERS being used down this main straight. He will have a chance at the Ferrari by turn 1, but the McLaren wants to go for it on him nonetheless. Turbo cannot make the move. Alex Norris stays ahead, though, for second place. Timbed is right behind the Haas of Fusion, who put in a great performance for Kick Sauber last week, picking up their first podium. But if he wants to get a podium tonight, it's going to have to come in the black, white, and red car. Let's ride on board with the RB and just see what he's doing, sitting in none right now. Now medium, trailing the Ferrari driver. What line does he take in? As in 200R now. How long do you use that battery? Just marginally. You know, you don't want to use it too much because really, you're going to use it down to 130R and you're going to use it down to turn 1. So Alex Norris really picking his battle here with the ERS deployment. Yellow flags. That is for the V-Carb of Zora hitting trouble. It looks like it's not been another day of his that he'd want to remember, but now we have a move being made for second place, maybe almost for the lead momentarily. Invade has hung on. No one this time inside that top 4 coming into the pits. It looks like Polish Hammer was just going for a gutsy call there, but the Alpine now sits 3.6 seconds behind with these guys duking it out. Looks like that 5-second gap has come down quite a bit from the Dutch driver. Leon Miner gets a penalty, and Timbed goes on to hard compound tires. F1 short Singy hopes Invade wins it, or Neski. Faded hoping Turbo brings it home. Well, right now with the way things stand, I know we got pit stops. Uri will be winning the title, but if things do cycle out the way we expect it to, Uri will only be losing the title by half a point, and that will actually be the closest RPL title gap we've ever had. You just gotta wonder, with being kicked out of the Grand Prix, denied access to finish the Grand Prix by being under the map, RPL Fortnite glitch moment, we're seeing unprecedented things happen in this Tier 3 season, which has just been back and forth between Turbo and Uri. Is that really the moment we look back on and say, all right, well, you know, Uri almost lost the title by that? Or are we looking back on it and saying this is how Turbo won the title? Remember, Uri only just joined back the league a day after the Brazil race. He left it after last week's race. He was so mad with the outcome, really forgetting that he was in the championship lead by 12.5 points. But you just got to remember, it's big picture here. Although he has damage right now, he can easily get that repaired and be a contender later on. We do have 2 drivers coming in and boxing for fresh hard tires. It's Invade and Neski going for the undercut. Now, Turbo and Alex Norris, they've got to have good in-laps here whenever they do pit. Remember, they're on the medium compound tires. They will be going earlier than drivers like Uri, Valkyrie, and even Itzy. So we're going to see what they do and how it plays into their hands. But Alex Norris sitting just in medium right here in the S section, not going 100%. Looks like he's just going 90%, right ahead of the McLaren. He knows that with this overcut here, he won't be in front of the Ferrari and Aston, but why not help himself here and help the sake of the Red Bull team by just not going at a full 100% here. You know, you're not doing anything illegal by doing it, but you're just frustrating the driver behind you and really making them run out of patience. Leon Miner has gone into the pit lane, and he has got a 10-second time penalty to his name. He does have damage, but he's just not really caring to replace it. Meanwhile, Neski is stuck behind the Kick Sauber, and he's going to have to get by very, very quickly to have a chance at going for it on Invade. Whoa. Gearbox issue from the Aston. Look at that. He shifted up to 8th gear for a moment, and he got stuck in 5th gear here. Look at his traction now coming out of the hairpin. Polish is there. Is this an issue with his wheel? What is going on? It is double shifting the Aston driver. Polish Hammer, who is trying to pull off the undercut, is there. And he actually may be giving a Ferrari a double chance here to win. With that being said now. Wow. Neski with a big issue with his gearbox. Our 2 leaders are in. And we almost had a collision at the pit lane entrance as well. Uri is also in. He wants to repair this wing damage in no time and believing he can get those medium compound tires to the end. Look who leads this race. It's Valkyrie. It's the first time she's led a Grand Prix since Abu Dhabi last season when she was in the Ferrari, contending for the win against George Williams. Invade comes out of the pits, and he jumps both these guys. Look it, down the main straight into turn 1. Whoa! We're going to see a collision if we're not careful, and we were careful enough to keep it single file. Turbo will come out P2 when we all cycle out. Then Neski, Alex Norris behind, and Polish Hammer now is a part of this DRS train. The Alpine can safely say he might be as well. Someone who's Dutch again, tell me how to pronounce that name. Nonetheless, Zora is in for his first pit stop. RPL Titan Iron has now hit the penalty box with yet another penalty to his name. Looks like Neski got the gearbox issues figured out with his Aston Martin, and he did get by the other green car, the Xbox logo car of It's Z. Yes, I'm calling it the Xbox logo car for now. Chucky Chuck. Should I just call him Chucky? Nonetheless, here is Chucky Chuck with It's Z. He does get the upper edge on him, the Alpine driver. Nice little move there for 7th place. He could get himself in this DRS train with the fresher tires. Polish Hammer may have a risk of making it to the end, but he does have really the undercut that put him in this train. It's really what he needed here to give Ferrari the double chance to win this race. And Invade has pulled out a 2-second gap for our lead. That's monumental. Here we go. A little kerfuffle on the run to turn 1. Timbed is ahead. The German driver, who does have damage on the left end plate, has got the upper edge on the Kicksauber. Kicksauber looking like they're going to get another point this week if they just really put themselves in position. But right now, It's Z would need a safety car to do that. He has let the Haas go and maybe did his fair share for the Ferrari Academy right now. 2.1 seconds right now. And as Lennon said, it is not looking good for Uri. Yeah, he went in to repair some damage on the Red Bull, and when he does have Valkyrie come out and It's Z, it'll be 9th place. But the thing is, Turbo will be right in 2nd, so this is not what the McLaren needs, or the Red Bull needs, excuse me, compared to the McLaren. Optical saying he wanted an actual send-off for tonight. Having connection issues is not the way he would have wanted it. Same with Ardell. Remember, Ardell is moving to Tier 2. Optical's thinking about having it be his last hooray tonight. Last hurrah, last hooray, whatever. I'm not having a fun time tonight. Alex Norris maybe could have a go at the Aston by turn 1. He's just at the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, but remember, all these guys are just going to have to settle behind Invade, 2.3 seconds back. And I have to give Invade credit. You know, I know this is not a place you should pick up track limit penalties, but really it's the circuits you shouldn't pick up track limit penalties this season that he has been doing it at. And he's done a really good job so far at not doing so. Circo, speaking of track limit penalties, has got himself one. And look who took over fastest lap. That was ERT Uri. Invade. Ooh, is this 2 warnings? I think it is. Oh boy. Oh no. See, one was exceeding track limits. What was the other? The other was exceeding track limits. He's on 2 warnings. All right then. Well, we know the situation now. Don't jinx him. That's what I'm going to be told. Yeah, you're right about that. Uri does have no wing damage anymore, and he's 4.3 seconds back from the car. That is in 10th place. And honestly, Uri could really set himself up here for maybe a place higher than that as well. With this DRS train in front, Lennon's right. He has to cook. He has no other choice but to just run hard and run fast. Yellow flags. That is on the main straight. That's going to be the lap car, Circo, and the Aston. It is not his day whatsoever. He's going to destroy the Bullard for good measure. And, oh, look at this. Right in front of our leaders. He's going to do some burnouts in front of them as he tries to get back going. Man. And onto the grass. Onto the grass. The Alpine goes for the overtake. Polish Hammer at a big slide on the inside. He's just been overtaken on the grass there. You don't see that every day. Uriah's gap now, the kick Sauber, 2.6 seconds. He knows this championship is on the line. He's probably watching the stream saying, yeah, I hear you. You don't have to remind me. I probably already have people reminding me in my voice chat for the Red Bull server. You don't need to remind me another time. And I'll tell you right now. Oh, spin! That's the Aston that's a lap down. Luckily, it's not Neski. It's Searles into the wall. And it's just not going his way. It's going from bad to worse. I'm just going to say, Valkyrie could do a really huge favor here for Invade. Let Invade go, and then be a roadblock for the McLaren. We have a move, Alex Norris was looking to pounce on the Aston Martin. This is for a podium place when everything cycles out. And we do see the move in a 130R now made. Alex Norris is ahead of the Aston, but the Aston wants to have a go back at it. He doesn't do it. Uriah is finally back up into the points. It's about time for Uriah. Invade does get DRS off the Academy teammate. She'll let him go, and then she'll maybe give an assist to Invade by getting in the way of that McLaren through the S's. Here we go. The Aston is in front of the RB again. It is Neski up into 4th place, net P3, and Itzy has finally come in. Fusion has been overtaken, and now Turbo has the Haas right in front as a roadblock. You know, it's weird that it's not a Red Bull Academy car messing with his head now. It's a Ferrari Academy car, and it's for the sake of the victory here with Invade, trying to go out on top here. Serco goes into the pit lane and retires. It is really sad that Uriah and Turbo has not happened the way we thought it would, but you know what this does? Turbo being put back here in the DRS train with Neski and Alex Norris actually does help out Uriah. So, although you think there that it does not put us in a Turbo Uriah battle on track, it does for the sake of the championship with the Aston and RB closing in. These two have to stop battling for the sake of the championship, though, if it goes in Uriah's favor. And Minako is right. Valk is doing Invade a huge favor here. That gap was about to be a DRS train with Invade and the cars approaching behind. Now with a 2.7 second gap, Turbo finally gets clear of Valkyrie, but it's just too little too late. Neski also going for it, having a go. Nice little scrap with the Haas. The leader picked up a penalty. That's Invade in the Casio triangle, crossing himself. So the help that Valkyrie did may be irrelevant now. Timbed picks up a penalty. Polish Hammer did so just moments ago prior as well. Right now, Turbo has to run with it and go. He could get the victory now with that being said. The RB is trying to shoot one at the outside on Valkyrie. Will it happen? No. Valkyrie still stays ahead, and she's just keeping it in medium here as we run in the S section. I will say, with Timbed having that penalty, it actually does help Uriah further back rather than Turbo being helped here. Yes. Uriah's time is ticking, right? You're right, Lennon. Here we go. Wheel to wheel. Into the deck. As Valkyrie hangs on. But only just. Nice and clean defending from Valk. That is very true. Valkyrie is just parking her car right on the apex, doing all she needs to do. And further back, Timbed has gone around. That is now him down to 10th. Uriah can settle for 9th place, but what does it matter when you're not winning the championship right now? Here we go! Contact! Almost! Both in the wall! Alex Norris does get the place, but that was very argy-bargy with him and Valkyrie. Neski wanted to have a go in a 130R, but it's not happening. Valkyrie's going to go back up the inside. Remember, she is yet to come in. We also have the Alpine and the Ferrari closing for what is a potential podium in this race. Valkyrie is finally in, but that does help at least Polish Hammer, who does have the penalty. If he pulls a big enough gap and has a lot of pace here, he could get himself very well into the podium. But Invade's time is also ticking just like Uriah's, though. For the sake of this lead, 2.1 being that gap, Turbo winning the race is not what Uriah wants to see and can see. Valkyrie has gone on to medium compound tires, and the good thing for her is, at least coming out where she has, she will be inside the points. With Ardell and Optical losing out here the way they have, you know, it will really put someone, for the sake of the constructors, further back, at least in points. In the points, maybe who shouldn't have been today. And that good defending will at least pay off for a Valkyrie F1 points finish, ending the stewards report, because I do know she's at risk of a disqualification. You're wondering why? She did a lap when she shouldn't have. She had a qualifying ban. She retired from the session after that, but she would have to have had to disqualify herself in order for that to count. 1.7 seconds the gap. Turbo is closing in. You just got to really wonder, if it wasn't for Brazil with Uri getting stuck onto the map, Fortnite style, could he have really won the championship? Maybe done a gritty on the podium? It really is unfortunate that it is going this way. I really did not want to see Uri close out the title by leaving the league last week. I'm glad he came back to at least try and defend it. But the fact of the matter is, the title may not be going in his favor at the end of today. He's going to have something from this train right here go catastrophically wrong. 25 points in Turbo's favor. Uri has the fastest lap, so it's at least 5 points. That's 20 points gained from Turbo. The championship gap into this race was 12.5 points. I really think if Invade wants to, really see one of those drivers in his favor win it, he'd have to have Alex Norris closer. And I don't think Invade would really be playing favorites here. He's a third-party instance with being in the Ferrari. But there are guys who want to see Turbo or Uri from other academies, or the same academy as them two that they race in, win the title. Everyone has their favorite of those two from the same nation. Right now, Uri is closing out on Fusion. And this is exactly what he needs to really help the deficit with 7 laps to go this time. As Lennon said, the TP of Merc for next season, or the code TP, excuse me, for next season in the Twitch chat, it is crunch time for him. Because right now, Turbo is winning this race based on track limit penalties. Fusion has the place for 7th. Uri wants it. Will Fusion protect this knowing the championship scenarios? Fusion got a podium last week for Kick Sauber for the first time. Really making his name heard here in RPL. Not really having the best of races prior, besides Spa earlier in the season when he got his best result. But last week was his best result officially. Fusion looks like he's just not going to fight this. Uri is through, but he needs Polish Hammer. That is going to be the big thing to at least have somewhat of a chance here. Because if Turbo gets a penalty, that's 2nd place in his name. If Polish goes up to 6th then, that's 8 points. That's the title toward Uri's name. So this is exactly the type of scenario that we're looking at. And Red Bull already clinched the constructors, so Ardell, Goatley, Uri, you've already done your fair share for the constructors. Now it's the fair share needed for the driver's sake. 6/10 the gap. Turbo is really reeling the race leader in. And I don't think Invade's going to go out the way he would have wanted to, winning the race on penalties and on track. He's only going to win it on track as things stand. And he's actually going to have more wins on track than on merit. That's how scary this is for this season with Invade. And Neski is through again. He'll regain the place for 3rd. The Alpine is closing of Chalke. But the thing with these guys is they keep battling, and Uri's going to get closer. He doesn't have a penalty. Polish does. This could very well go up in the air and come down to the last lap in Is This Glock style, F1's biggest conspiracy. Yellow flags. That's in the first sector. That's RPL Tight Iron. Going through some kitty litter and the grass, mowing the lawn. Meanwhile, 4 cars scrapped down the main straight. Here comes the RB. Here comes the Alpine. Both trying to go by the Aston. The RB will. The Alpine won't. Actually, Neski gets it back. And Polish is clear of the Alpine. Whoa, the Alpine had to back out right there. And what does that do, the Alpine backing off right there? It allows Turbo to gain, or excuse me, Uri to gain here on this little DRS train. 2.6 the gap. It was 3.4. He'll use some of that battery, but he's just not in the DRS train. That DRS train, he's going to have to get in and then going to have to make up some places for it. Alex is like, excuse me, Ardella is like, Alex, start backing up. Well, he's fighting Neski. And you know what? This is really what Uri needs. This fight to continue even longer. Neski has conceded the place again. 2.1 the gap to the DRS train. Remember, Blue Gaki got to the DRS train here in Tier 2 in the Japan race, having the faster car, but he couldn't make up the places. I know patience is going to be the key here for Uri, but the patience is running out. He cannot afford any collisions or anything to go wrong here. Polish backed him up here and almost at the back of the Aston. That had the Alpine going out very wide and almost hitting the back of him. He had a major tank slapper. Now, put Uri almost in the DRS train with that being said. Battle down the main straight. Neski goes through. Lennon is right. We're going to see a major, thrilling final 5 laps of the Grand Prix. Titan said Marcus glitching, who has fastest lap. The fastest lap is the Red Bull of Uri. You know, it might be what it takes. The Alpine or McLaren of Titan and Leon, Academy teammates of Turbo, maybe pitting to steal the fastest lap. That may be what it's going to take. I know you say he's going to have to start backing him up, Ardell, but the fighting he's been doing with Neski lap after lap might just be enough here. He puts on the battery right about here, I want to say. Alex Norris usually would, and then tries to overtake into 130R, gets overtaken, and then has DRS for the main straight to go to turn 1. Uri is in DRS here just momentarily, but I don't think he's going to keep it for a little bit. Polish Hammer, another penalty. That place is going to be 6 for Uri's now. I'm trying to remember who would have the title based on tiebreakers. I had a list here last week. It's not updated, but I'm going to tell you right now, you know, Uri has more wins than Turbo, and I would really hope that we do see the title come down to the last lap if this is what it's looking like. Invade had the lead on track. He no longer does. Turbo takes over at the front of the field. On penalties, he already had it. Now on track, he does. Neski gets overtaken there in a big move to turn 1. The Alpine and Ferrari both connect wheels. Polish has damage. He's off. And now he's right in front of the Red Bull. Polish is going to be fuming with that one because he just got cut off by the Alpine there. Uri is there now for the place. 4 laps to go. He needs to make amends of the Ferrari quick. He's tagging the rear wheel, though. He knows this move has to be without contact in order to not see the stewards room. Everyone has been very quick to report Uri for incidents this season, so you've got to be very careful with that being said. I mean, Polish is struggling with that damage. That's the thing. I don't think he's trying to back up or cause any harm toward Uri. He knows the move is coming. The move down the inside was just there. It was almost on, but Polish covered it off. Yeah, Turbo has a P3 finish. He's the only one of these 2 championship contenders to have a P3 finish. Uri does not. Now, Uri goes through on track. He's got to get to the DRS train here in any moment. If he gets to 4th place with the fastest lap right here, it might be the title. It just might be by half a point. That's exactly what he needs here in the closing stages, excuse me. Turbo does not have a 3rd place finish. You got 2nd last week. Meanwhile, Invade is back past for the lead of the race. He's got to put Turbo in a position to get a penalty here if Uri wants to win this from not getting 4th place. Alex Norris is being overtaken here down the main straight. He's going to have Neski going through. He is ahead into turn 1, but Uri is not closing even with them trading places. Alex Norris, just like Ardell says, he needs to back him up. If he does, Neski and the Alpine can be overtaken, and then the RB lets him through. This championship may come down to controversy, and this is probably one of the best title fights we have seen in lower tiers of RPL history. We've had a lot of Tier 2 fights really go down to the wire, or go down to the last race. But nothing like this to where it might go down to the last lap. Uri is only 1.8 seconds back, but with being stuck behind Polish the way he was, it just might not even be enough to even when he gets there. He's got to pull off some overtakes. Car off. That's the Alpine. He went in the gravel, and Uri is closing. Remember, he's a teammate of Turbo's. So this is what the situation does here. Remember, that's for 3rd now with that being said, with this whole situation here. All really that's needed from Uri is probably 4th with fastest lap. 3rd without the fastest lap, though. If there is any tiebreakers, which there will not be just because of half points being awarded in Qatar, it will go to Urai's way. Turbo cannot overtake for the lead, and as the clouds get darker, this battle could get darker as well. Here's the Alpine trying to defend. Is he going to defend for any longer? No, he's not. Urai is clear for 5th. Right now, 25 to 11 points. That's 14 points that Turbo would be gaining. That's 1.5 points for the sake of the championship. One more place, and it could go to his way. He needs the RB to do something magical here. You just gotta hope for Zora to move. That's what they're saying, but the thing is, I think Zora wants to try and give his teammate here DRS, but the thing is, he's already going to be in the DRS train by the end of this lap with what Alex Norris has been doing. It might just be good enough with Zora getting out of the way. With that being said, because look at this, Urai is in the DRS train. The last thing Zora can do is give the Aston DRS. He can't be doing that if Urai can win the title. Look at this. Leon Miner, 10-second penalty. We're on to the final lap of this race. This time by, in the final lap of the season. What a thrilling championship battle coming down to the last lap here. Turbo is going to win the race on track if he just stays where he's at. He wants to win this race on track. He'll get it on penalties. But right now, it's all happening for 3rd. Zora sets the fastest lap. The Aston gets DRS. But Urai goes through. Zora stole the fastest lap from his teammate. And you know what that's going to do? That's going to mean that Urai needs 3rd place on the last lap. The gap right now in the championship standings is a 0.5 point in Turbo's favor. Urai was put under the map last week. He was denied access to finish the Grand Prix. He almost left the league permanently with what happened. He was very frustrated by the game glitches and being put back there in qualifying. Got damaged early. He had the same thing happen this week. And now he needs another place to certify this first championship. Invade is going to go out with a bang and probably win this race on track. Turbo is going to get it based on penalties. He still wants to go for it nonetheless. Will he do it? Now becomes the question. We're going to have Invade cross first. Turbo get a victory, but will it be enough for the title? One last effort and do what's going to be the Casio triangle. Big dive, big maneuver from the Aston. The Aston goes off. They're both off. The Aston gets a time penalty. On the last lap, the title goes to Urai for the first time. The man who was denied access to finish Brazil has been crowned champion for the first time. The inconsistencies are no more, but what will the stewards say about that final lap, final corner move? Invade finishes 2nd, Urai 3rd. The RB 4th, Alpine on debut 5th. Then the Aston, the Ferrari, the Haas, the Mercedes, and Valkyrie currently is going to finish in the points, but it may go to the Kick Sauber after disqualifications come in. Yeah, Zora did do fastest lap. Valkyrie going out with a bang with donuts. But that last lap was controversial at its best. Urai went for a dive. The Aston went for a late maneuver. They both made contact. The Aston went off. And Urai got the place on penalties. You're really going to wonder, similar to George's scenario with Red Fire in the Japan race, did Neski make an attempt to slow down? Did Urai force him off, though? We're going to see what happens. This will go to the stewards, but right now, Urai is the champion. Wow. I know Josh is saying that's going to get removed, but, you know, from what he's telling me, but the thing is, it may get reduced instead of removed. You just don't know. We're going to find out what happens, but controversy ending a thrilling season here a battle that went to the very, very end, the last lap of Tier 3. Turbo sprays the champagne on the top step of the podium, but he won't know if he's champion until probably a few days later if this doesn't go to Uri. Red Bull, Ferrari, McLaren, another podium with them three on it. It just seems like a repeating cycle with those guys, but nonetheless, here are your final results. You gotta probably give Uri or the Alpine the driver of the day based on what you see on our screen from the starting spots and the car performance situation. Will Uri keep the title? We're gonna find out from the stewards later on. Here are your final results. We only lost 3 from the event, but the thing is, though, Zora pitted, stayed in that train, and stole fastest lap from his teammate, his academy teammate. Uri didn't need to go for that place if he had fastest lap in his hands. Zora pitted. There was no need for him doing that at all. And it practically could cost Uri the championship pending the stewards report. Uri getting that place for 3rd on the podium does win the title by 2.5 points. But you've just got to wonder, he didn't need 3rd. He didn't need 3rd if Zora does not pit and go for the fastest lap. A lot of drivers and others have been very vocal so far in the last 5 minutes of that, criticizing the academy teammate for doing that. You didn't need to cover off Leon or Titan if you saw qualifying. Leon and Titan would have not taken fastest lap there on fresh tires. I'm not going to say definitely for sure they wouldn't have, but based on the speeds we saw and the cars they're in, Leon maybe could have. Titan, no. Absolutely no chance. They were thinking of doing it, I know them too. Leon and Titan going for fastest lap. But there was no need for Zora to do it. Out of all people, your academy teammate stealing fastest lap from you, meaning you need another place in order to win the title. Yeah, I don't know about that. That is controversial at its finest. As Jack said, don't celebrate too early, but what a thrilling Tier 3 season. We're going to have the showcase event next week, and we're going to finish off with some titles this weekend to be wrapped, and other places in the championship too, with the titles that have already been wrapped for Tier 2 in Abu Dhabi, F2 in Abu Dhabi, and F1 in Abu Dhabi. I'm going to interview our championship winner, but you just don't know until it's over. And you know what? He would have only needed 4th if it weren't for the fastest lap being stolen like that. That is so weird. I believe we've just seen what we saw. Can you believe your eyes? One last effort in the Casio triangle he had to pull off rather than staying in 4th, which he would have been okay with. I'm very interested to see what Zora had to say here, why he did it. Titan said his game crashed before he started to start the final lap, so that's what stopped him. But there was lots of attempts. This is what happened. Goatley wondering, why did Neski squeeze? Well, really, you know, it's to cause the driver to go off and do what happened with the Aston there. Yeah, Zora stole a fast lap without knowing it was needed, so that's the situation there. Holy cow. And Egg just made it clear to me, don't put out any stats regarding who won the title. It will be decided in the stewards room. That is how this is going to go. That's wild. Well, I don't mind giving our 2 title contenders throughout the season an interview at all. They have the streamer account added, I believe, or at least I have them added, so they can join. I'm totally fine with interviewing both of them if they would like, but a season this has been. You just got to wonder, with the controversy in Brazil, the drive-through from Spa, in the case of Turbo, you know, there's many things we can look back at this championship for in positive and negative ways toward both these drivers, but last week probably got the most hectic of really at all, and you just don't know what's going to happen. well, really the stewards report, because that's going to be how it's decided. And, well, now you really don't know. Even if it gets decided by the stewards room, still going to be the closest tier 3 title regardless, because George's was not as close at all. And it did not go down to the final race, or the final lap, or the final set of corners. So, you just got to wonder in the stewards room what does happen. But we do have our provisional championship. Uri, it's good to have you. Make sure your audio is included. You've been told not to celebrate early. I want to ask, at least with that being said, you know, you got a major glitch last week in, instead of landing in, you know, Salty Springs or, you know, Anarchy Acres, you landed in under the map in Brazil last week, and it really did not go your way. You were very frustrated by it and kind of almost forgot the situation you were in, and then you came into this week having to serve the qualifying ban due to penalty points. You were already on the back foot. You got damage on lap 1 or so. What happened to have that happen 2 weeks in a row in the race and not have it really start off the way you would have wanted it to?
Well, last week there wasn't really anything I could do about it, you know. And now lap 1 this week, I basically forgot that the back of the field in tier 3 is quite slow. So I didn't slow down as much for turn 1 as I should have and got damage. My fault.
Now I've got to ask, you know, you had to go through the field and you saw drivers falling out of places. You saw some people fight you hard, some people not fight you so hard. You probably had people coaching you on, talking about the situation. I would have to assume with your situation, did you think you could at least get there to have a chance within the final few laps for the title?
Well, after seeing the gap after the pit stop, when I had to repair my front wing, I really thought that there was no chance anymore without the safety car, because the gap was like over 10 seconds, I think. So I just tried my best, and the pace was amazing, really. I didn't think that pace was possible. And then in the end, I think it was Polish who got damage, and he was defending me with a broken front wing for like an entire lap for I don't know what reason. And even then, I still got DRS again, and my own academy teammate gave DRS to an Aston Martin and took the fastest lap away from me, which basically possibly lost me the championship. So I have to thank him for that. And yeah, I think whatever happens, we know what happened last week. I was kind of robbed of 18 points. So if I lose it by 1 point today, I think I know who deserves it.
Yeah, I've got to ask about that fastest lap attempt from your academy teammate Zora. He said he didn't know it was needed, and everyone's not really happy with him in the academy. What did you think when you saw him not getting out of the way and then get fastest lap there? Because really, your move for third was not needed if he did not take fastest lap, because you were the one who had it. You had the extra point that was needed.
Yeah, and if he didn't take it, I had a VR behind me, and Alex knew that I needed a podium, so, or a P4 with fastest lap, so he knew that he would just had to stay behind. So basically, I would have a free championship, but Zora decided no. And yeah, I mean, then in the end, of course, there was really nothing else than just dive bomb the Aston Martin. And actually, I still think that it wasn't a dirty dive bomb. I just went in, and the Aston Martin turned into me like 50 meters before the corner, just under braking. And yeah, I was obviously very mad when Zora was ghosting through me.
So I've got to ask about the last sector with what happened. You know, I mean, you know what was on the line. You could call to move out of desperation. Fair or foul, that's up to the stewards to decide. But what did you think there? You went for the move. The Aston tried to cover it. He went off track and kept the place. What do you think is going to happen there now. Do you think you're going to get penalized? Do you think the Aston's going to get the penalty removed or reduced? If it's reduced, the title still goes to you. If you don't get a penalty from it, though, you still get the title as well. If the Aston doesn't get the penalty fully removed. There's a lot that goes on, and as Egg told me, it's going to be decided in the stewards room. What do you think of it all with the whole last lap? It was a thrilling season, definitely, that was on the line, and it's great that it came down to this. As an commentator and an entertainer and a spectator, but not probably for your sake that it came down to this.
No, I really would prefer having an easy race and just go to the finish line in a podium place, so I had the championship. But no, I think what should happen is that he gets the penalty, not removed, but like from 10 seconds, maybe 5 seconds, because he still cut the corner, or maybe, I don't know, like 3 seconds. But I went for a space, the space was there, and I would have easily made the corner if he didn't turn into me and just hit my entire car. So I will see, I hope the stewards also take into account the situation and what happened last week maybe, but yeah, it's a different incident, so they won't.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Understandable. I was just gonna say, sorry to cut you off.
No,
I was
no
just gonna say, you know, your championship rival Turbo, both you from the same country, you both have a lot of respect from one another. I don't know if you read the messages when coming back into the server after you left Thursday night last week after the Fortnite glitch happened
no,
to you. I must say, you know, if you were not here coming back to the league, I know Turbo was thinking of not racing or not scoring any points to really think about how, you know, the title should not been won the way it would have been won if you had left the league. I've got to ask about your championship rival Turbo, both you from the same country, both you having great battles throughout the season, both you being the class of the field. Do you have anything you want to say about him or to him, or any thoughts really from this whole season-long battle with him that could be decided in your favor or even his favor?
I mean, I know we both enjoyed the battle, even though it could have ended like in a fight between us on track or something like that. And I was actually in Discord with him right before you invited me to the party. And since I was the one who invited him to the league, so we were actually in Discord in every single race of the season. And yeah, I mean, we are very similar on pace, so we always have a good fight. And about when he said that he wouldn't race if I didn't rejoin the league, yeah, I know he wouldn't because he knows good sportsmanship. I hope I explained that in English well. But yeah, I do have a lot of respect for him as a driver.
And Uriah, I've got to ask, you know, the first season you were teammates with George, your name and your language being George. I mean, if you win the title, I'm sure you find that fitting. I definitely love you to tell me about it. But one thing I want to ask before you tell me about it is the inconsistency you had last season when you came here. You had definitely a lot of races when you were in the RB and really performing well, even qualifying well. Qualifying on the front row at one point in Silverstone. You had races in the Red Bull where you were up there and then not, and definitely a lot of things were questioned with that. Finally, you broke through the season, got your first win, now have the most poles in the tier, and a lot of other great things. Do you think really you've learned from the inconsistencies and this league has definitely helped you develop as a driver? What do you kind of think in that aspect?
Yeah, I think the biggest improvement thanks to this league is that I learned how to race at the front. Because before RPL Tier 3, I actually never like raced in a bad league. So I always raced like in the midfield or as a back marker. So yeah, I think this helped me a lot to deal with pressure of leading a race and stuff like that. And yeah, also of course consistency. But I'm not sure if I can say that after getting front wing damage on lap 1 today.
Yeah, I get where you're at with that being said. Oh my word, this headset that fell off my head. I gotta fix this headset. Anyways, my last question for you, before I get to one of the questions from the chat, if not maybe two, if anyone else has any. What would you say your favorite moment was from the season from Tier 3?
I think the race in the Netherlands, when there was a safety car, me and Turbo were on a different strategy, and for some reason we picked softs instead of hards, and when he could have just uh, easily gone to the end of the race on hards. But yeah, I did the two stop against one stoppers. That was something I really enjoyed, especially catching up to the front two. I think it was Goatley and Mercedes, if I'm not wrong. And yeah, catching them like 2 laps before the end of the race. That was really what I enjoyed the most.
And tier 2 next season, what do you think is going to happen there now for you? How do you think that's going to go?
Well, if I don't get demoted from Red Bull to V-Carb after like 2 races, all I will do is probably learn how to drive in tier 2, learn about the drivers, and I just hope that I will consistently be finishing the races like top 5, top 6 maybe, and I will try to help Gog if he's in a championship fight.
All right. I got 2 questions from the Twitch chat to have you answer now. Zora's wondering, do you hate him? Because I guess from whatever's happened in the Red Bull Academy server, there's a lot of people who don't like him right now, and I understand why. How do you feel about the situation? Because I guess from what he said, he did not realize that, you had fastest lap, needed it really to win in that P4 spot. What do you feel with Zora right now, currently, with what had happened?
I mean, I'm obviously angry if I lose the championship, but no, I mean everyone makes mistakes, and the championship wasn't lost in this 1 point for the fastest lap. The championship was lost last week in Brazil, and then with my drive-through in Belgium and 5 seconds in Monza and stuff like that. So of course, I'm not going to be happy about it. But no, I don't hate Zora or anything like that. Mistakes happen.
And then one question from F1 Shorts. He's wondering, what was the most fun race to drive this season for you? I'm going to guess that was Zandvoort when you were talking about the 2-stop.
Yeah, I think it was Sandward, and also I would say fighting in Monza with Turbo and SV, even though I got a 5-second penalty after the race. And even now, Japan, like the second stint when I didn't have front wing damage, I really enjoyed catching the 12-second gap or something.
I'll ask an additional question that I've just thought of since what F1 Shorts had asked, because I know you already answered basically before he asked that, your favorite race, your most fun one. What would you say was the least one? Would you say last week was the least favorite one when you got hit with the map glitch?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it caused you to leave the league. I mean, it should be
yeah.
it should be a no-brainer.
Well, I also got front wing damage on lap 1 because
yeah, exactly.
I went on softs, thinking about how I'm going to quickly be at the front again because I invalidated both my laps in qualifying, and I didn't realize that the pace difference between me on softs and Haas's and Sauber's on hards will be quite big. So I just went into the back of someone, basically the same mistake as I did now in Japan. And then I also didn't like Belgium because I got to drive through and then basically was just waiting for a safety car that never came.
Yeah. Well, if you do keep the title in the stewards room, congrats. If you don't, it was a great season, and I definitely hope to see you continue in tier 2. Whether it's Red Bull or V-Carb, I definitely would love to see what you're able to do here continuously for sure. Turbo, we tried to get an interview with him because, of course, he could potentially win the championship pending the stewards report. With whatever happens there, Egg, the tier coordinator, said this will be decided in the stewards room. Turbo politely declined as he said he not speaking English, so he felt like it'd be embarrassing. But I'm glad you had to go with this, though. So, it was very good, both of you from the same country. Definitely, I don't even know how to say the name. I'm probably mispronouncing it, but definitely some heritage for it, which is very nice for the sake of RPL. Nonetheless, we've got some races to finish out the weekend and some championships still to be decided, whether it's constructors or drivers. We have F2, Tier 2, F1, all in Abu Dhabi. Tier 2 tomorrow, F2 and F1 on Saturday. And then our next Tier 3 event, or event related to Tier 3 drivers, will be the Showcase event, which will be next week, 7 p.m. UK time. which should be tons of fun. We have 6 Tier 3 drivers separating that. In fact, 6 drivers from each tier. The 6 drivers from this tier would be Uri, Turbo, Goatly, Ardell, Invade, and Neski, which is probably the best 6 drivers we probably could have representing. I don't think of anybody we could add that would definitely change that for sure. They did really good with that. And Mally41 and Owen, two OGs of RPL, will be commentating that event. And of course, we'll have another Out of Context released on the YouTube later on next week, right before election day for the US. So we'll see how people do enjoy that. Maybe we'll get to decide our next main character for Out of Context on election day. I don't know. We'll see how people like the next one. Nonetheless, what a thrilling Tier 3 season in Season 2. We do have our calendar, which should be getting released soon, I believe, for next season. I'm just going to double check that it hasn't been released yet already. Let's see. Calendar. We do not have a Tier 3 calendar release yet next season, so we'll keep you updated when that is released nonetheless, and just tune into our socials for other stuff like that. So, for more information on what will happen with the title, make sure you tune into the RPL Discord or our socials, and tune in for the rest of the weekend. We'll let you know if Uri keeps the title or if it goes to Turbo in the Stewards Report. Nonetheless, thank you all for a wonderful season in RPL Tier 3, Season 2 of Tier 3, in fact. And we'll catch you for the remainder of the weekend and the showcase if you don't tune into that, or Tier 3 next season. Ryan Searles, your commentator for the night, signing off. Everybody, have a good night. And if you haven't been trick-or-treating yet for Halloween, stay safe and have a good one, because we'll see what other spooky things happen this weekend in RPL. Till next time, folks, have a good one, good night, and goodbye.